You clicked on this video, you're probably wondering what is bilateral and unilateral motion and how can it help me play the violin better? Hey, this is Ina Langerman from Violina.live, helping you along your musical journey. In this video, I'm going to talk about what these two terms mean and how it can specifically help to practice our long tones and at various tempi. So first of all, when we talk about bilateral and unilateral motion, right away you can see in the title the prefix means two, and unilateral, it means one. So unilateral motion is when the bow direction and the body move in the same direction at the same time. So if I was doing a down bow, my body would be moving to the right with the bow, and on the up bow it would be moving to the left. And bilateral is the opposite. So the bow will be doing a down bow and I would lean to the left, and on the up bow I would lean back. So there's just one misconception that's common in this, and that is I'm not going to be leaning very much to my right. And actually, when my body is going to be swaying back and forth, it will be more between the weight centered and leaning a little bit towards the left. So when my arms are closer together, so when my bow is either at the frog or at the balance point, let's say, you see it's pretty compact here. So right now, my weight is quite balanced among the both feet. And I can practice transferring the weight back and forth to find that balance, and you can bend your knees to find where it is, or you can even take a few steps in place, march in place. That way you know your weight's distributed well. And also what we're going to do first, we'll actually do bilateral motion. So usually with quicker bow strokes or medium speed bow strokes, I would take a down bow, and as I do a down bow I will lean to my left foot a little bit, and then as I do the up bow I will bring the weight back to the center. So we'll do a few open strings like this first. And try to find a bit of a flow with this, because we also don't want to get jaggedy with the motion. We don't want to be like... It's a little jaggedy looking. So actually we want to create a little bit of a flow. So it's almost like drawing an infinity sign with the scroll a little bit. So at the end of the down bow, you know how when we change bow directions in order to do smooth bows, the bow has to make a little U-turn at the tip. So for bilateral motion we will do the same when we transfer the weight back. So it's going to be very gradual. And actually this motion also helps, it encourages the bow to respond with the same speed on the up and the down bow. And we can try it on other strings, but for the sake of this video, we'll skip that. Unilateral motion, it's more suitable for much slower bow strokes. Actually, even the speed that I just did, it's possible to do, but let's say you're practicing son filet or the 1 minute bow challenge, and starting all the way to frog, or if you're playing an orchestra and you're playing one of those accompaniment parts, like if there is an aria and you have something very slow in an opera, or maybe you're playing some pop tunes and you just have a bunch of whole notes in your part, and it's getting a little bit tense just to play whole notes for such a long time. And also a lot of times we have to play it very softly in accompaniment parts. So this is where unilateral motion can become helpful sometimes. So I'll do D string for now just to change up a little bit. So the idea is I'll start with the weight on my left foot, and with the bow I'll transfer it back to center slowly. Now there's a little trick to this actually. Notice that by doing this we're magically making our bow a little longer because the instrument is moving this way, so we're not quite making it to the tip. If I do the same speed in bilateral, I'm actually going to end up at the tip much sooner. So that's a little trick if you're practicing the 1-minute bow challenge with your friends and putting some bets on who can make a longer bow. Okay, so now how to apply this in practice. Of course, open strings with a metronome is very helpful as a warm-up. So you can do that to start with. So let's say I'm doing 8 beats per bow. I don't have my metronome handy right near me, but I'll just tap here for now. 4, 5, 6, 7. Or if you want to practice your martelé, also you could do on open strings, or if you're practicing scales with different bow strokes, you can start incorporating the idea. So let's say martelé, it's a quicker bow stroke, so we will want bilateral motion. So now, why is this helpful? It's, first of all, it can help to create a better release at the end of the sound, number one. Number two, and this is a big one, it can really help when it comes to releasing excess tension, because if I do it like this, that's all fine. Right now my arm is pretty much doing all of the work, but if I involve the rest of the body, well, first of all, the instrument has a better sound quality. I don't know if you can tell with this clip-on mic here, but there is more ring to the sound. It actually takes less effort, and it's actually, it will project better in a hall. And at the same time, as bonus, your shoulders are not going to get so stiff, and your legs, by doing this, it makes sure that your legs don't get locked, that your knees don't get locked. So it really will also help later when you have to play quick passages, and that's for another video. Now, let's go to something a little more challenging. Kreutzer 1. Very challenging etude, and really good for practicing tone production and experimenting with bow speed and dynamics. So I was practicing this etude and I thought, how can I apply unilateral and bilateral motion to it to make it a little bit easier to play? And notice that in the beginning there's a crescendo going up to the dotted rhythm, going up to the E natural. How can we create this crescendo? Well, there's many ways we can make a crescendo. We can use bow weight. You can change the contact point. I like to use bow speed for this when I practice it, or a combination of several of these variables. So let's say I'm starting up bow. It starts pretty slow, and you can actually challenge the tempo. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to combine the two types of motion. I'll start with unilateral motion, and as we start to crescendo and I want to add some bow speed, I'm going to switch into bilateral. And that's going to help to create a better crescendo, and so that I don't have to press so much with the bow. It's going to give it better momentum also on the bow change. So let's say tempo will be like, it's adagio, but let's not do anything too crazy slow. So that was very subtle. Now I'm going to see, what if I want to create a larger crescendo, a larger diminuendo? So I'll have to make these motions just to help me out a little bit more. So starting at the frog, since I'm starting at the frog, I'm going to start unilateral. I'll start with my weight on my left foot. 2, 3, 4, 1. Now there's a crescendo. The crescendo. So that's just one way you can do it. It looked a little bit random probably watching, but just to break it down, the first measure I did unilateral motion, 1, 2, 3, there's a crescendo right around here where I'll speed up the bow, so I'll switch direction at some point. So it helped to create this wave with the bow. And then on the bow change, there's a decrescendo happening. So I want to slow down my bow speed, and when my bow gets slower, I'm going to switch back to unilateral motion. So if I put it all together, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Same direction, crescendo. Easy to run out of bow on that trill. So you notice I went like this. I saved the motion for the trill note, so I would create extra length in the bow there. Nice little trick there. You could also practice this, of course, breaking the bow for the trill, because it's a lot to fit in 12 beats at a slow tempo like that. And of course, you can really challenge yourself and try doing the crescendo different ways. Now, of course, the vast majority of our repertoire will actually involve a little bit more of the bilateral motion, where we need to really help the momentum of the bow. And now, of course, when it comes to quick passages or even medium tempo stuff, where it's gonna all happen on a microscopic level. Sometimes you can't really tell that it's happening. Let's take an example like Kreutzer 2 now, and I'll play it kind of slow. So right now I'm shifting the weight to the left as the bow moves to the right. And we want to create a nice détaché like this. As opposed to so listen again to the other version. The only difference is in one of them I'm standing stiff as a board with my knees locked, and the other one my knees are relaxed, and I am allowing my body to kind of counteract where the bow is a little bit. Now let's say I want to play it faster. It's going to happen on a smaller scale. Okay, now let's say I want to play it very quick. So in this case, I can also use the idea of emphasizing each beat, right? So this time I'm going a little bit against the general definition of going in the opposite direction of the bow. So I'm actually using the ability to do the bilateral motion, the weight transfer. I'm only doing it on each beat. And you can decide to do something different depending on what you're playing. So let me know in the comments below. What are you currently working on, and where in your repertoire can you apply unilateral and bilateral motion? Where can it help you with various bow strokes? Also, if you have not already done so yet, check out my bi-monthly newsletter. It's completely free and goes out twice a month, where you get a summary of my latest content. And if you sign up today, you're also gonna get a free practice plan template PDF and the ability to reach me directly. Until next time, happy practicing.